Pacific 2019, the largest naval and maritime exposition in the Southern Hemisphere, is a showcase of the defence industry's latest and greatest. Being internationally recognised, the trade show has on display a broad selection of cutting-edge technological innovation, making Pacific 2019 an amazing opportunity to interact with the naval and coast guard representatives from all around the world. It was in this setting that WA Defence Review travelled across the continent to be privy to this unprecedented gathering, joining the movers and shakers within defence industry and bringing value to our clients and stakeholders by successfully distributing over 350 hard copies of our coveted 2019 annual publication. But that was just one statistic in this impressive convention. As such, Pacific 2019 boasted over 21,000 attendances across the 3 days, nearly 700 participating exhibitor companies from 22 nations, nearly 200 industry, government, defence and scientific delegations from 48 nations, 48 major conferences, symposia and forums. These impressive figures illustrate why this trade show is indeed a landmark international event on the defence industry calendar.
Well, I think it's established a status, a positioning internationally as being one of the world's great maritime defence conferences and exhibitions. It's a large, complex event that brings industry, government, the military, in this case the Navy, the research community and academia together in the one forum where everyone can engage and interact in a very, very, very useful way.
With all states and territories represented, Western Australia made its presence felt, spruiking its unique world-class skills and capabilities at the trade show.
We've got those capabilities that are really refined in a really challenging environment of mining and offshore oil and gas. If you can meet the demands there, you can apply those capabilities to defence and you can come up with some great solutions, world-class solutions that can be exported. And that's where the great opportunity lies for WA.
We're very cost effective, we're very time sensitive and the capabilities are very high level. I just think Western Australia is really starting to kick some big goals and other states are looking over the fence going, wow, look what they're doing.
We've got some amazing businesses doing very important work for defence that the general public aren't aware of. And so being able to see them showcased here in front of not just the Australian Navy and the Australian Defence, but in front of navies from across the Asia and the Indo-Pacific area is really great opportunity for all of them.
The impressive WA showing was highlighted by the WA Government's Defence West stand, which hosted a large number of tendered WA companies.
It's a platform for companies to speak to international delegations. We've had the Chief of Defence here, we've had the Minister for Defence, we've had the Secretary of the Department of Defence, we've had a Dutch delegation, an Indonesian delegation, French delegation. So it's just been a fantastic opportunity to really showcase the best of WA.
The West Australian Government has a really strong focus on diversifying the West Australian economy, broadening its industry base, leveraging also from our partnerships between state government, industry and our research community also. So it's a big drive around how we can broaden that industry base, create more jobs and high quality jobs for all West Australians.
Among the key exhibitors on the WA Government stand was the recently established WA Defence Science Centre, a WA Government agency tasked to connect industry with universities and defence to enhance R&D prospects for WA.
The Defence Science Centre is all about taking research out of our universities and supporting our SMEs getting into the defence supply chains. At the conference we've been able to connect some of our SMEs through to different companies like that are national or international. So we've, like our subsea guys here, we introduced to the New Zealand group.
Another company within the Defence West stand was Fran Marine.
Fran Marine predominantly supports defence through provision of a broad range of underwater in-service support and sustainment solutions. Anything from biofouling management, so in-water hull cleaning, through to underwater coating repairs of blasting and painting underwater, through to docking alignments, the floating dock. We are the only in-water hull cleaning system and solution that is approved for use in Australia. And we have recently undergone assessment by the New Zealand government that was recently, objective being to approve us for use in New Zealand.
The Defence West stand consistently attracted a large and diverse gathering of local and foreign government and defence officials. However, the state's representation went well beyond the stand itself.
We have 18 small and medium companies here advertising their wares, plus a number of other Western Australians, including primes like Austal, have their own stands here. So it's quite a strong Western Australian presence.
The upswing in defence-related work is having a galvanising effect on investor confidence in WA. Take, for instance, the multinational firm L3 Harris, which has a strong defence industry profile and has had a long-standing presence in the West.
It's really expanding now in Western Australia. I think with the Navy shipbuild programs and a lot of the support going to be based like for the offshore patrol vessels, hopefully in the West Coast or some of it up in Darwin, we're very well positioned. And just our experience, we do a lot of work with the submarines that are already the Collins class that are based there. The future frigates we're hoping to get involved with, so it really ties in very well with all our space and great time to be in Western Australia really.
Matrix was another WA company that was not part of the Defence West stand. With an established background steeped in the resources sector, Matrix is representative of an expanding trend in WA, where resource sector firms are increasingly seeking to diversify into the defence sector.
A few years ago, Matrix made the decision to enter into the defence market. Traditionally, we've been in the oil and gas space, but a lot of our skills and our technologies are immediately transferable to defence, and we have a unique global and sovereign capability which is of value to the Australian defence sector, especially with the new build and sustainment programs.
What Matrix do is they tailor polymer materials, put in additives, put in reinforcements, try and achieve the material properties that were required by the application. So these materials actually originated in defence programs that grew out of the US Navy's requirements in the post-war era for deep sea buoyancy for their platforms. They've really taken off in oil and gas. Similar reasons, they're supporting a subsea architecture in defence. We would expect definitely future submarine will have a requirement, but also the growing use of UUVs, the ability to integrate and support the packages that they put on these things.
AMI is another maritime supplier experiencing rapid growth on the back of a proven and impressive industry CV.
So all the Collins class submarines have our water makers, which are a modified version, working with the engineers of ASC. Now we've moved on to developing actually our own products from scratch. And that's a new beginning for us. So we're not only a supplier and have joint ventures with overseas companies, but we're developing our own products as well. These sovereign products are our own design and manufacture, and we're trying to promote those at the moment, create Australian jobs and Australian manufactured products.
Manufacturing is also where defence opportunity lies for another independent exhibitor, Dobby.
We work in a number of sectors. We're primarily a jobbing foundry, which means we provide low volume, high quality products into the resource sector, civil infrastructure, mainly for water carriage. The service we provide is essentially it's a turnkey service. We provide everything from design of a product through to 3D printing and 3D modelling. We do finite element analysis of design. From there we can go into rapid prototyping through our 3D printing capabilities, pattern making. Obviously as a foundry we can pour the product, we're an engineering complex so we can machine it, finish it, we can provide coating, assembly, and we're a NADA accredited test facility that for mechanical properties and fluid dynamics.
While hardware is certainly front and centre among companies showcasing their capabilities, a range of ancillary services also have a strong presence as exemplified by IMS, which provides specialist human resources for the naval and marine sectors.
We see ourselves as being a specialist provider of crew, deck officers, masters, and also engineering officers for sea trials. There's a lot of vessels being built around the world, defence vessels, policing vessels, all sorts of government vessels, border force. We see ourselves as being able to offer the experience in the very niche area of sea trialing those vessels and having the guys on board and girls on board who can interact really well with government and the shipyard. And it's a very small area and we want to target on that on an international stage.
Specialised services in the area of risk management are also the domain of software provider Risk Management Technologies, or RMT.
RMT was established over 30 years ago by our Managing Director, Dean Apostolou. He started with First Priority and ChemAlert back then, particularly in the mining industry, where there was no systems in place for the management of health and safety of workers, and we've been in with Defence for a number of years, close to 20 years. So we've got a long-term relationship with them, and we really value that.
Similarly, manufacturers of high quality products was exemplified by two notable WA enterprises, Prochem and Watmar.
What we have is pipe lock products, so it's a TMI, a Canadian made product, a cold connection technology, so a non-welded, usually used in high pressure hydraulics, and it's present on a lot of the naval operations, the ships here.
Watmar is essentially three companies. Watt Marine Engineering is predominantly why we're here. That's our Marine Defence division. Started by my father in 1989, and 30 years later we've expanded across Australia and going strong.
Can you give us an outline of what the key products and services you offer?
Yeah, so ship equipment, pumps, pipes, valves, painting, welding, anything for a Navy vessel. So that's the Quantum Stabiliser. It is an American company, and we're the Australian agent. It's listed for the OPV project, so there's 12 vessels that have got that equipment, and we're communicating with the United States to manage that equipment when it lands in country.
After 3 days on the East Coast, one thing is certainly clear. The future of Western Australia's defence sector is bright.
There's a lot of people here today that hadn't previously considered the strategic importance of Western Australia. So, we've certainly, we're on the agenda now, we're on the map, and, foreign companies that are looking to come to Australia are now really considering Western Australia.
More than half the fleet is in Western Australia. More than half the future fleet will be in Western Australia. So we have to continue that high-end maintenance and sustainment on the present fleet, continue it through its life, and then onto the future fleet. And I believe we have very much the ability to do that. And I believe the nation understands that we have those capabilities.
And it's not just that the defence industry in WA is growing. So it also seems is the Pacific Trade Show.
I'm absolutely confident that all of the advances in terms of international focus on Australia that we've seen at this show will continue and indeed develop in 2021.